Hey everyone, welcome to another video. You know, I again, uh, something came up to a couple days ago that I really wanted to talk about. Uh, Now, like about maybe a month ago or so, maybe it was a month ago, around that. So I don't know, but a while ago the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, the organization that hosts the Oscars, they posted a they posted their shortlists, and they came out with their shortlist. They have a shortlist for a bunch of categories, and one of them that they have is for best visual effects. And you know me, if you know my channel, I love visual effects in movies. I love analyzing visual effects in movies, regardless if it's a movie I love or a movie I hate. Because a lot of things that people try to get mistaken over is that a great movie does not equal great visual effects, and a bad movie does not equal bad visual effects. For some reason, people still can't see that today. Um, but regardless, you know, I wasn't able to talk about the shortlist for best visual effects, at least not until now, mainly because, well, I was still trying to figure out how to do my videos right here, but also at the same time, it ultimately became a little bit too late to talk about it. But, however, a few days ago, the Visual Effects Society have now announced their nominees across a bunch of different categories. And I decided to talk about that today, and also, while we're at it, also delve into the Visual Effects Oscar shortlist. Now, if you don't know how a shortlist works, at least with this year, with the Visual Effects Oscar shortlist, uh, it's a list of 10 movies that are in the running for Best Visual Effects, and then they whittled that down to the 5 movies that get nominated. And this list is actually compiled on by the visual effects branch of the Academy. Um, which, yeah, uh, like, because I like how the nomination process works with the Oscars, where it's, the individual branches of the Academy nominate the individual categories. Like, the acting branch nominates all the acting categories, directors nominate directors, and visual effects arts, the visual effects branch, uh, nominate the visual effects category. But then when you get into voting for the winners, it gets a little bit complicated because then everyone votes for every winner, regardless of what branch they're on, and in my opinion, that creates inaccurate winner results because at that point, because the Academy has like over 8,000 members, 8,000, 9,000 members of the Academy, and that's like that means the vast majority of people voting on best visual effects don't know anything about visual effects. So that's the one thing I would change about the Oscars is that I would have the individual categories be like the winners be chosen by the individual branches of the Academy, and then everyone votes for Best Picture because at that point you're just voting on which one you thought was the best movie of the year, which I feel like is just very simple. Whereas with visual effects, you're not supposed to judge it by the film, and you are supposed to judge it by technique and innovation and whatnot. But that's where the Visual Effects Society comes in, because the Visual Effects Society awards, like, all of it is voted on by visual effects artists, like the nomination process and the voting. So I feel like we get more accurate results here. I mean, so yeah. But and so we're gonna be talking about some of these categories today. Now, yeah, I think we might as well start off with the first category that they announced, which was Outstanding Visual Effects in a Photoreal Feature. And this is pretty much the top prize. This is pretty much the top prize of the Visual Effects Society Awards. nominees can generally range from five, like at least nowadays, generally range from 5 to 6. And I actually was thinking that maybe we would get 6 nominees this year, and ultimately, we did. Uh, like this category has had a bunch of different name changes. Like one of the names it had in the past was Outstanding Visual Effects and a Visual Effects Driven Photoreal Feature. Although, granted, you can already tell that that's a really long thing. But basically, this is like the big prize for like the big visual effects movies. And their nominees are Dune, Godzilla vs. Kong, The Matrix Resurrections, No Time to Die, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and Spider-Man No Way Home. Overall, very solid across the board. I'm actually kind of shocked No Time to Die got on here, in that, and we'll talk more about the category of outstanding supporting visual effects in a photo feature. But I thought No Time to Die was going to uh, be nominated for that. And what's even stranger is that No Time to Die has no other nominations. Like, zero other nominations. All the other nominees here do have more nominations in other categories. But for some reason, No Time to Die is only nominated for this category, nothing else. Which I find a bit odd. Especially considering when you go onto on how they did the visual effects for No Time to Die, it is mostly supporting visual effects stuff, like just basic CG backgrounds, like not even like really dynamic backgrounds, how you would see in like the Jungle Book or Jungle Cruise. No, it's just like very kind of basic set extensions, which again I just found a little bit odd that this was nominated for this category. But regardless, other than No Time to Die, these are like very solid choices. I mean, obviously Dune's gonna win this. It's gonna win. I'd probably vote for Dune, although I do want to try to pull a little bit. I do want to think about it a little bit more. Godzilla vs. Kong. I was thinking it might get in there. The Matrix Resurrections. I will say I was. Now, what were my predictions? Well, actually, you know what? A lot of because a lot of what I have to say about that kind of goes into my visual effects Oscar shortlist thing later on in this video. So I'll get to that when I get to that. But Spider-Man No Way Home getting in there. A Spider-Man movie hasn't been nominated for this top prize since Spider-Man 3. And in the Oscars, well, again, I'll discuss the Oscars here in a bit, but overall, very solid across the board. I'd probably pick Dune out of all these. So, yeah. Now we get to the next category, which is Outstanding Supporting Visual Effects and a Photoreal Feature. And the nominees in this category are Candyman, Last Night in Soho, Nightmare Alley, The Last Duel, and The Tragedy of Macbeth. I will say I haven't seen Last Night in Soho yet, but I did watch, I think it was DNEG, like DNEG's visual effects breakdown of this. Actually, let me make sure if it was DNEG. I hope I didn't. I hope I didn't butcher VFX breakdown, and it was. Yep, it was DNEG. It's literally how and the way you spell it is exactly how that's how it sounds. DNEG. And yeah, I'd probably pick, since again, seeing as how just going by the visual effects breakdown of Last Night in Soho, I'd probably pick that to win this category, because Nightmare Alley, again, like there's some effects in there, but it's not all that groundbreaking, or it's not like I don't know. I feel like Last Night in Soho is doing the most innovation with its visual effects, or at least like the most because like there's some shots where parts of where they're like driving in a city, and like some of the stuff is like this city is like entirely CGI, and which is again really impressive. Candyman has some really good B visual effects. Last Duel has some basic set extensions and some crowd work. Tragedy of Macbeth, I think, has very little visual effects in it. So going by from what I've seen of the visual effects breakdown from DNEG, I'd probably pick Last Night in Soho for this. I'll briefly talk about this outstanding visual effects in an animated feature. Like there are a couple of other categories in this, like regarding animation. Like there's also outstanding animated character. Like I'll probably go over those in but regardless. Like these are nominees for outstanding visual effects in an animated feature: Encanto, Luca, The Mitchells vs. the Machines, Raya and the Last Dragon, and Sing 2. I haven't seen Sing 2, so I can't really comment on that. And there's a and probably out of all these, like The Mitchells vs. the Machines, I feel like I've never seen anything like that before in terms of just pure animation. Now I will briefly talk about, briefly mention some of the other categories in animation, like that are just strictly animation. But I will say I can't really pick a winner for that because I'm more based into like photoreal live action visual effects than purely like animated visual effects. So forgive me, but like for outstanding animated character in an animated feature, there's Encanto for the character Maribel Madrigal, Luca for the character Luca, Raya and the Last Dragon for the character Tuk Tuk, and The Mitchells vs. the Machines for the character Katie Mitchell. And for outstanding created environment in an animated feature, we have Encanto and for Antonio's Room, Luca for Poderoso Piazza, Raya and the Last Dragon for the Talon, Sing 2 for the Crystal Theater, and Vivo for the Mambo Cabana. And I think... Oh, wait, there's also outstanding effects simulations in an animated feature. I'll get into more what effects simulations are. But there's Encanto, Luca, Raya and the Last Dragon, and Sing 2. That about does it for the purely animated categories. But again, I can't really comment a lot on the animated stuff because I am more so versed in photoreal kind of visual effects. I mean, not that I have any experience in visual effects, obviously, but in terms of commentary, yeah. Then we get to the next category that I'm about to show you, which is outstanding animated character in a photoreal feature. And like basically like the best looking CGI character. We have hold on, let me Finch for Jeff the robot that you see on the left. Flora and Ulysses for the character Ulysses, the little squirrel. Jungle Cruise for the character Aguirre, for the guy with the snake coming out of him. And Venom Let There Be Carnage for the character Carnage. And, well, that's like the fourth one, so obviously. This one is tough. I'm probably not... Like, if I were a voting member, I probably wouldn't pick Carnage. Carnage looks good, but... now, Ulysses, the squirrel that you see here, weirdly enough, and this is going to sound very specific and very niche, but I feel like we've kind of, like squirrel CGI has been perfected for a long time. Mainly, like, the first time I could think of where, like, squirrels looked unbelievably realistic was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the Tim Burton one with Johnny Depp. Like, those squirrels looked amazing. And granted, this one definitely has some slight improvements, but that's what I mean, slight improvements. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory's squirrels kind of made it... Like, the squirrels in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory were so ahead of the game that I feel like there's not much room to go with trying to innovate squirrel CGI. Again, that sounds very specific and very niche. But, yeah. I'm really torn between Jeff the Robot and Aguirre, like the guy with the snake on his face. Because, on one hand, Jeff the Robot from Finch looks so goddamn realistic. Like there are scenes where he doesn't, where I was legitimately wondering if what I was looking at was CGI. But on the other hand, Aguirre from Jungle Cruise, he that's such a creative design, and they do things that I've never seen before. And that's why I always want to look at. When it comes to visual effects, I want to be wowed. Like, what have I not seen before? Like, basically, it comes down to a couple things for me. How realistic can you make something when, and not in a subtle way, but I mean, how realistic can you make something with something that really shouldn't be that photorealistic? Because, or how creative is it? And basically, what I mean by that, what the first thing is that, because something like a simple uh, set extension, I feel like we've perfected that like 10 times over. Like, some people will go, wow, I didn't know 1917 was all done and was made to, like, they use visual effects for all that. It's to make it look like it was in one take, and you see all these a lot, the set, there was some set extensions, and it's like, well, yeah, but also I would say that 1917 is sort of doing what movies have already been doing for years and years and years, in terms of stitching together takes to make it look like to make something look like it's been one take. We've seen that tons of times before, with Birdman, Gravity, even going as far back as Children of Men. So what 1917 did was cool, but I've seen that before. And not only that, I mean, it's not like I couldn't tell when there was a cut in 1917, if you know what I mean. So, not that kind of realistic. Like, what I mean by something that looks completely real, I mean when you're looking at something that shouldn't be looking this real, but it does. A great example of this, I would say, would be the CGI humans in The Irishman and Gemini Man. That's what I mean, because I couldn't stop staring at the screen at those movies from because they look so real. And and the reason why I say they shouldn't have looked so real is because, well, I mean, it's CGI people. We've had kind of a hard time with that. But regardless, going back to the character Jeff, my name is Jeff. But like we've seen CGI robots before. I mean, before this, I would have said the best CGI robot was probably Chappie. But there's a bit of a difference between a robot like this and a robot like Chappie, because with Chappie, his movements were very smooth and whatnot, whereas with Jeff the robot from Finch, he's very jittery, and the way he jitters around a bit and the way gravity kind of pulls down on him is something again, I have never seen before. And there's different textures on him, he has some fabric on him, some elements of him that are a bit fabric, some parts of him that are rubber, whereas with Chappie was more or less just metal, which again was phenomenal for 2015, and it still looks amazing today. So that's what makes it kind of tricky. But at the same time, with Aguirre, again, I've never seen anything like him before. They're he has snakes coming out of him, it's very gross. So I don't know. Do I give it to the complete photorealism of Jeff the Robot, or the crazy creativity of Aguirre? Which again, even then, he looks really good, especially watching Jungle Cruise in 4K. So it's a bit of a toss-up for me. If any one of those two won, I'd be completely down with it. So, yeah. Then the next category we get to is Outstanding Created Environment and a Photoreal Feature. And for this, we have... and... okay, when I go like this... Wait, well... I'll just well screw it. I'll just point sort of help you like understand what I'm talking about. Anyways, the nominees for outstanding created environment and a photoreal feature are Dune for Arrakeen City, top left square. Jungle Cruise for the Waterfall Canyon, top right square. Spider-Man No Way Home for the Mirror Dimension, bottom left square, and the Suicide Squad for Vel del Mar, which is a city, and that is in the bottom right square. Again, this is a stacked category. This is really stacked. It really is. How do I think? What do I do? Like, how do I? Because all of these are great. Like, well, for like, in terms of just pure photorealism, I mean, it's kind of tough between Arrakeen City and from Dune and Vel Del Mar from the Suicide Squad because both those look incredible. But at the same time, I mean, Jungle Cruise's Waterfall Canyon looks amazing too, and sort of like what I was talking about the last category, the Spider-Man No Way Home mirror dimension is full of creativity. Like, it's insane. It's gigantic, yet things are spinning all around. It's just like, wow. And really, it kind of goes even further than what Doctor Strange even did, because like with all these, because of how gigantic this world is. Because with Doctor Strange, whenever they would go into the mirror dimension, it was mostly small. Like the environments were mostly sort of self-contained and a little bit small. Whereas with this, it's just like almost an entire world you're looking at. So this is and it's very dynamic with tons of movement, tons of crazy camera angles. It really is tough. Ooh, like I might give this to. But then again, we haven't seen any visual effects breakdowns of Dune either. Because like we haven't really seen a lot of visual effects breakdowns for Dune, so I don't know how detailed Arrakeen City truly is. Although what I can say about it is that it is basic shapes. It's more so basic shapes, whereas something like No Way Home with the mirror dimension, it's a bunch of different looking buildings and with different shapes and sizes. So right now I might go with the mirror dimension from Spider-Man No Way Home. Although if I'm being honest, if any of these won, I'd be perfectly fine with it because all these are phenomenal. Then we have outstanding virtual cinematography in a CG project. Now, this is one where there's like both animated movies and weirdly enough, even a TV series. I'm guessing virtual cinematography has been kind of not as like because like initially they would like I it's hard to describe. Initially they did have, I think, different categories for virtual cinematography, but I don't know what it is. Maybe there's less competition now, but I don't know. But regardless, this is just basically in movies, TV shows, just anything. At least with this category. But again, it's still movie centric. It's still involves the movie, so I'm talking about this category. And the nominees for outstanding virtual cinematography in a CG project are Encanto for We Don't Talk About Bruno, Godzilla vs. Kong for the ocean battle, Loki for the episode Lamentus for the race to the Ark scene, which I'm guessing was that oneer that was done with a bunch of CG elements. Raya and the Last Dragon doesn't have a scene, so I'm assuming it's just the general virtual cinematography of Raya and the Last Dragon. And Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, again, I'm assuming for the general virtual cinematography whenever there was like a virtual camera going through an environment. Since what I'm assuming with Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, like what they're saying is like just generally in the movie and not just one scene, I might give this award to Shang-Chi for that. Although granted, we don't talk about Bruno has some amazing shots. Um, so I'd probably give this to Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. The next category is outstanding model in a photoreal or animated project. And basically, what they mean by model is sort of like, sort of like a CGI object. And the nominees are Black Widow for The Red Room, Dune for The Royal Ornithopter, Encanto for Casita Madrigal, and the Suicide Squad for Jotunheim, which is like that big cylinder that you see down there. Yeah, that one. This is tough. I might actually give this to the Red Room from Black Widow, mainly because I'm assuming this is that's the largest model out of all these things. I'm assuming, and not only that, but it's also the most intricate. It's like I actually did see they actually did post the visual effects breakdown for Black Widow, and the Red Room, like that big ship in the sky. It is so intricate with so many parts to it, and again, considering how huge it is, I might give this award to the Red Room. Then to our next category, which is outstanding effects simulations in a photoreal feature. Now you may be wondering, what the hell are effects simulations? Well, you know how uh like it's sort of like what a simulation is. It can be like a liquid or a gas. Like liquid and gas CGI, or even solid objects, for example. Like basically, what it comes down to is here's a good example. If you're going to try to render an ocean, like in waves and whatnot, you would not be like I guarantee you would not be able to hand animate every single water droplet or all that crazy stuff. Because that would not only eat your computer up, but that would just take forever. And so basically, simulations are done with AI, where it's like the AI does all the math for you and does all the calculations you need to where it simulates what would happen if like a wave crashed, or if a building was collapsed, or if sand was being was being brush like sand being moved around, or even it could even work with gases and fire, all that stuff. So that's what an effects simulation is. And the nominees for outstanding effects simulations in a photoreal feature are Dune for the Dunes of Arrakis, Godzilla vs. Kong for the ocean, water, and battle destruction, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings for water, bubbles, and magic, and the Suicide Squad for Maltese city destruction. Now this is tough, because again, this is just a stacked category. In last place, I'd probably put Godzilla vs. Kong. It really is tough between Dune, Shang-Chi, and the Suicide Squad, because I mean, with the Suicide Squad, it thrives on photorealism. Like the Suicide Squad, I think, has some of the most photorealistic CGI of 2021. So it really is difficult to like that really puts it up there. But at the same time, with Shang-Chi, it's also very creative with its simulations, especially with water, and of course there's Dune with its sand, with all that sand. That's tough. It really is kind of tough between. For me, it might be between Dune and the Suicide Squad. I might go with Dune, but again, if because like sand is also very fine. Sand is very fine, and so that's like you're gonna like hell, a grain of sand is way smaller than a drop of water, and especially, so, you know what, so yeah, I might go with Dune on this one because trying to render all that sand just moving around must be a nightmare. Then we get to outstanding compositing and lighting in a feature, and I'm assuming this could be either animated or live action, but as far as I'm concerned, all these movies are live action. Or photoreal, I should say. And the nominees here are Black Widow for the Red Room crashing back to Earth, which I'm assuming also includes the skydiving scenes. Dune for the attack on Arrakeen, Dune for the hologram and Hunter Seeker, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, for Macau City, that fight that was happening at night with all those bamboo sticks and whatnot, and Spider-Man No Way Home for Liberty Island Battle and Christmas Swing Finale. Again, all these are super well done. Now granted, the hologram scene in Dune was very impressive. Like, you know what? I don't exactly remember. Like, I don't exactly remember like how that was done. I might have to go on to, because I actually looked this up on Reddit on how they did this. So hold on a second. Because this one's actually really impressive. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? All right. Yeah, there was a question on Reddit, like how did they get the hologram like to interact with the moving actor Timothy Chalamet? Um, and the following is said, because I'm assuming the actual projection, like the actual like okay, well, another example was a technique to give us a realistic visual in the Hunter Seeker hologram sequence. DNEG had developed and supplied a real-time tracking solution so that we could figure out where Paul was on the set. Denis, the director, had already approved the creosote hologram bush, which the character Paul Atreides, the character that Timothy Chalamet played, that which Paul would be hiding in. So we split this 3D asset into thin slices and then projected that slice onto Paul on the set. As Paul moved around, a different slice would be projected, giving the impression that Paul was moving through the hologram. This gave us the ideal interactive pass on Paul's skin and clothing, which Wiley Co. then composited the rest of the CG bush around him. Jesus Christ, that is really intricate. So I might have to give this win to Dune for that, because that's really impressive. And actually, yeah, that's a. Oh wait, no, nope. We have one more category in the Visual Effects Society Awards, and then I'll basically give my summary. And also talk about the Oscar shortlist and what I think will get nominated. The final category that we're going to be talking about for the Visual Effects Society Awards is Outstanding Special Practical Effects in a Photoreal or Animated Project. And these aren't really specific, it's just the movie titles. It's just the movies themselves. Eternals, Jungle Cruise, Matrix Resurrections, and The Tomorrow War. Which I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know which was practical in those movies. So I might have to leave this one up in the air a bit. Which is weird. That's kind of like the weird thing now, where it's like now, like back in the day, it's like, wow, which is CGI, and like it's like, oh, back in the day, it's like, wow, where's the CGI effect? Like where you're trying to figure out, or like how or whatnot. Nowadays, it's like, wait, what's real? Like, because like there's so much CGI in movies. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but like there's so much CGI in movies to where it's like, uh, to where it's like, like whenever there is something that's real, it kind of goes over your head because it's like, you don't know. Uh, but yeah, those are the nominees for the Visual Effects Society Awards. And now we could probably talk about what a little bit more about the Oscars. Um, a little bit more about the Oscars. And how we're going to be and whatnot. So those were the nominees for the Visual Effects Society Awards, but now we're going to be moving into what the Oscar shortlist for Best Visual Effects. And so, like, yeah, we're going to talk about their shortlist. And the 10 films that are in the running for the Oscar nominations for Best Visual Effects are Black Widow, Dune, Eternals, Free Guy, Ghostbusters Afterlife, Godzilla vs. Kong, The Matrix Resurrections, No Time to Die, and Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, this is interesting. Because I think out of all these, the only two movies that did not get any nominations at the Visual Effects Society are Free Guy and Ghostbusters Afterlife. But I think, and well, and I'll probably talk a little bit more about that here in a bit, but basically, here are what I think are going to end up being the 5 nominees for Best Visual Effects at this year's Oscars. Dune, Ghostbusters Afterlife, Godzilla vs. Kong, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and Spider-Man No Way Home. Now you may be asking, wait, Christian, why are you picking? Why do you have Ghostbusters on there? It didn't get any nominations at the Visual Effects Society. No, it didn't. But, however, I have a theory. I have a theory as to how it can get a nomination. Because again, as I said in my top 10 movies of 2021, Ghostbusters Afterlife. Ghostbusters Afterlife is not a movie that at first seems like a movie that has great, amazing visual effects. But once you see it, you see that it does. And I can't help but wonder if maybe like the voting base in the Visual Effects Society sort of thought the way I thought, where it's like not even really thinking of Ghostbusters as a movie that would have amazing visual effects. Because, and like the reason why I say that, and the reason why I still have Ghostbusters nominated here, is because there have been movies that have gotten nominated for the Best Visual Effects Oscar without getting any nominations at the Visual Effects Society. Some of them include Spider-Man from 2002. There was Snow White and the Huntsman. That didn't get any Visual Effects Society noms, yet got nominated for the Oscar. There was Ex Machina, and most recently there was Love and Monsters, which was nominated for last year's Best Visual Effects Oscar. So I still think that, and what I think what was probably going on is that, because when they're brought in, like basically the reason why they have the short list, the Oscars have the short list for Best Visual Effects. What happens that later on after they reveal the short list, I don't think they've done it yet this year, but it's happening soon. A lot of they'll invite members of the visual effects branch of the Academy and even some of the members of the press they'll invite them down to a screening, like a presentation of the 10 movies in the running for Best Visual Effects. So, and like see some breakdowns, see some interviews, basically it's like a bake-off. It's sort of like, showing like the movies, showing off why they're in the running for Best Visual Effects. And I feel like if Ghostbusters okay, I'm gonna have to give a little bit of a spoiler for Ghostbusters Afterlife. So, when you see me wave like like I'll let you know when I'm not going into spoiler territory, but I'm probably just going, "Welcome back," like something like that. Um, but I'm going to have to talk about some spoilers about Ghostbusters Afterlife. In order to truly, come like let you know why I think it's getting a nomination for best visual effects. All right, when you see me go like this, like, you can unmute this. Basically, the reason why I fully believe Ghostbusters Afterlife is getting a best visual effects nomination at the Oscars is because of the ending. Because there's a couple of things they do at the end. For one, they bring back Gozer, the villain from the first movie. But, however, the way they did Gozer in this film was that the head of Gozer was real, but they had a completely CG body. Like, the head was real, everything else was CGI. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't fucking notice that. I didn't notice that one bit. So, that's impressive. But another reason why I really feel like this is gonna get nominated for Best Visual Effects is the way they brought back the Egon character. Like, they bring back Egon, like the Harold, like the character that the Harold Ramis played in the first film, but he's a ghost and he's CGI. But good God, it looks so good. Like, Egon looks so good. And it helps that he is a ghost because, because he's supposed to be like this ghostly, unnatural figure. Um, you know, uh, because he is this ghostly, unnatural figure. Uh, you know, it helps hide the CGI a lot more, and that's one of the best uses of a. So, like, that already helps it be like one of the best uses of a CG human I've seen, because again, all that stuff that helps hide the more CG elements. So all that was really smart. There's also some very good smoke simulations that I think is going to wow the visual effects branch. So yeah. Hey, welcome back. You can unmute this now. I'm done talking about spoilers for Ghostbusters Afterlife. But like I said, for the reasons I gave, that is why I really feel like Ghostbusters Afterlife is going to become that unexpected nominee for Best Visual Effects. I really feel that. And so yeah, I feel and so even though um even though Ghostbusters Afterlife has no nominations at the Visual Effects Society for whatnot, I still think it's not impossible that Ghostbusters Afterlife can get a nomination. Now, what I will say, like the reason why I have Kong, Godzilla vs Kong on here, is because like initially I had Free Guy on here. Initially I had Free Guy as as one of the nominations, but I think I'm taking that out and having Godzilla vs Kong be in there because it did make a big splash at the Visual Effects Society, whereas unlike No Time to Die, it literally had like one nomination and nothing else. So it at least like to where it's like and it makes me think with No Time to Die, it makes me think that it was on the Visual Effects Society's radar, but I mean it seems like they probably couldn't quite like the voters couldn't quite quantify why it was nominated for Best Visual Effect, Outstanding Visual Effects and Photo Real Feature in terms of like the individual categories. And so I don't know. That's what I'm thinking is that I don't know. But Godzilla vs Kong made a bigger splash than No Time to Die, and I will say with The Matrix Resurrections, I don't think that's getting nominated either, because I think that's the one that everyone thinks is going to get nominated for Best Visual Effects, but it's not going to get nominated for Best Visual Effects. It's going to be that big, wow, that didn't get nominated. But I do fully believe that Ghostbusters Afterlife is getting that nomination, because I feel like if they play the cards right and show the effects that they really need to show at the visual effects bake off, the only hint I will give is there's a character that uses time displacement, and because it was a character, like it was that character that I was mentioning that has a real head but a completely CG body, and they use like time displacement where like some parts of the body were moving forward in time, others were staying backwards in time. I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to mean, but if they show that and that other element I mentioned, and why that one element works, I feel like Ghostbusters Afterlife will get that nomination. I think it will be that surprise nomination that no one sees coming. And I will say this: if Godzilla vs Kong does get a nomination, I feel like this will show that King Kong is the trump card of visual effects. Where it's like you put King Kong in a prominent role in a movie of his own, the movie's going to get nominated for Best Visual Effects, because the very original King Kong from the 30s won Best Visual Effects, if I'm not mistaken. The Jeff Bridges King Kong from the 80s won Best Visual Effects. The Peter Jackson King Kong won Best Visual Effects. And Kong Skull Island, even though it didn't win Best Visual Effects, it did get nominated for Best Visual Effects. And I just feel like if if we see this pattern, and Godzilla vs Kong gets nominated for Best Visual Effects, I think the debate is settled. Like King Kong ain't got shit on the Oscars. I don't know what the terminology of that would be. That regardless, King Kong is just the trump card. You put King Kong in a prominent role in his movie, and the movie's going to get nominated for Best Visual Effects, because it just seems like the visual effects branch really loves King Kong. And how can you not every time they do King Kong, they do something really new and innovative with him. Granted, this is the same King Kong from Kong Skull Island, and it's mostly the same. I'm not gonna act like it. No, it is the completely different model, but I don't know. We'll just have to see. But at this point, I feel like, and of all these, so yeah. Regardless, yeah, and I think that's why Kong's gonna get in. Godzilla vs Kong. Dune again has some great sand simulations, amazing compositing, and and Dune's gonna win. Like this is out of all the categories this year of the Oscars, the one I feel like everyone can collectively say, yeah, that's gonna get nominated is Dune. That's gonna win is Dune winning Best Visual Effects, because I mean, hell, even if Dune didn't have the Best Visual Effects of the year already, Dune would win anyway, because it's going to get nominated for Best Picture. And I literally did the math here. 78% of years when a movie that's nominated for Best Visual Effects, how do I describe it? It's like 78% of years when a Best Picture nominee is nominated for Best Visual Effects, it wins Best Visual Effects. Like, the last movie to buck that trend was Ex Machina, when it beat three Best Picture nominees, Mad Max Fury Road, The Revenant, and The Martian, although you could make an argument that having three Best Picture nominees in there canceled each other out. And before that, you would have to go to like 1970 to find the last year when a non-Best Picture nominee beat a Best Picture nominee for Best Visual Effects. So even if Dune didn't already have the Best Visual Effects of the year, it would still win anyway, because it's a Best Picture nominee. And so yeah, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and like the fact that it was able to incorporate martial arts with visual effects so well, and especially when you see the whole world of Ta Lo, this huge magical world, I feel like that's going to very much impress the visual effects branch. of the Academy, and also Spider-Man No Way Home. The reason why I feel like that's going to get a nomination is purely for the Doctor Strange scene alone. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a bunch of other really cool effects in the movie, like Doc Ock and Goblin and Electro, Sandman. All that's good. But Doctor Strange is like the MVP of the Marvel universe. Like, Marvel is at their most visually creative when they have Doctor Strange in their movie. And if the pattern repeats itself, then Doctor Strange is like the trump card of the MCU. You put Doctor Strange in a prominent role in the movie, and he's doing a bunch of you allow him to do all his crazy things, the movie's going to get nominated for Best Visual Effects. Which is exactly why for next year's Oscars, I am absolutely predicting that Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is getting a Best Visual Effects nomination. Granted, it's not going to win, because Avatar 2 is coming out this year, and I can't wait to see what James Cameron does with that. But yeah, I think these will be the nominees for Best Visual Effects. Dune's going to win, obviously. But I really do believe that Ghostbusters Afterlife is getting nominated for Best Visual Effects. I still feel it in my bones that it's going to be in that, that's going to be that unexpected nominee. So, regardless, guys, what do you feel about all this? The Visual Effects Society Awards, and also, what do you feel about the the Visual Effects Society Awards? If you're not into visual effects like I am, did you learn something? Did you learn anything, perhaps? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And if you are versed in, and if you're not very well versed in visual effects, if you want to know where I feel like you can get a good grasp on visual effects, like learning, I would watch Corridor Crew. Like, they have, so many videos on, visual effects artists react. And even they will, show that, just because a movie isn't good, it can still have good visual effects. And they legitimately break down why this certain visual effect works or why it doesn't work. So regardless, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. And, I guess I'll just see you later. Bye.